I want to talk to you about something I think about a lot because I'm not just recommending this, I carry it myself. I'm a husband, I'm a dad, I own a business, and my team helps individuals and businesses figure out whether they're actually protected every single day. So when I tell you umbrella coverage matters, I'm telling you from all of those seats. Let me start with the simplest version of what an umbrella policy is. Every insurance policy you carry, your auto, your homeowners, your business liability, has a limit. That limit is the maximum your insurance company will pay on a liability claim. Your auto might be $300,000, your homeowners might be $300,000, your business liability might be $1 million. Those numbers feel like a lot until you're sitting across from a claim that's bigger than all of them. An umbrella policy sits on top of those. When a claim exhausts your underlying limits, the umbrella picks up where they left off. That's it. That's the whole concept. The part that matters is what it looks like when you actually need it. Here's how this plays out. Say you rear end someone on the freeway. Not texting or drunk, just didn't stop in time. The other driver has a spinal injury. A med flight from the scene can run tens of thousands of dollars on its own. And that's before surgery, before rehab or lost wages even enter the picture. The claim comes in at $800,000. Your auto policy limit is $300,000. Your insurer pays the $300,000 and closes the file. The remaining $500,000 is your personal responsibility, your savings, your house, your retirement. And if you don't have the assets to cover it today, a court can attach your future wages, meaning a portion of what you earn going forward gets taken to satisfy that judgment, potentially for years. That's not a hypothetical legal concept. That's your paycheck being garnished until the debt is paid. That's the reality of an uninsured liability gap, and it happens to real people in ordinary situations. If you had $1 million umbrella policy, which would have cost you somewhere around $300 to $500 a year, that $500,000 gets paid and you go home to your family and your life continues. A few $100s a year. I think about this ratio constantly. Now, let me tell you why I carry it personally. Someone could get hurt at my house during a barbecue. Someone could trip and fall on a crack in the concrete. Life is unpredictable in ways that are completely ordinary. A dog bite that needs surgery can generate a $200,000 claim without anyone being reckless or irresponsible. Your homeowner's policy has a limit, usually $300,000, maybe $500 if you've upgraded it. If the claim exceeds that, you're covering the rest personally, or your umbrella covers it and you move on. And if you've got teenagers or they're getting close to driving age, this is a big one that I'm worried about personally. You're handing the keys to someone with zero real-world driving experience and asking the universe to be kind. You can teach them everything you know. You can set rules about phones and passengers and late-night driving, but you can't control what happens on the road. And if your kid causes an accident with serious injuries, your auto policy has a limit. Whatever's above that limit is your family's financial future on the line. An umbrella policy means that a terrible moment, and it would be terrible regardless, doesn't also become the thing that wipes out everything you've built. Not because you think something will happen, but because you can't afford to be wrong. There's another reason I carry a personal umbrella that most people wouldn't think of, and it has to do with my business. I have a business partner. If something happens on my personal side, a car accident, an incident at my house, anything that generates a judgment against me personally, I never want that to bleed over into our business. I never want my personal liability exposure to become a problem for my business partner or for what we've built together. A personal umbrella keeps that wall intact. It means a bad situation on my side stays on my side, and the business and my partner are protected from it. As a business owner, I think about this a little differently because the stakes scale up. When you run a business, your exposure isn't just your own actions. It's everyone who works for you, every vehicle in your fleet, every client who walks onto your property. One of your employees causes a serious accident in a company truck. A client trips and falls at your office. A subcontractor makes a mistake on a job and a third party gets hurt. Your general liability or commercial auto policy pays up to its limit. If the claim is bigger, and in contracting and trades in any physical line of work, claims can get big fast. You need something above that limit to absorb the impact. $1 million general liability limit feels like a lot to most business owners until it just isn't enough. A serious injury on a job site, broken back, head injury, anything requiring long-term care can generate a claim that blows through $1 million. If you're a sole proprietor or a single member LLC, that excess doesn't stop at the business. It reaches your personal assets, your house, your savings, your family's financial security. A commercial umbrella or excess liability policy puts a barrier between a bad claim and everything you own. And here's the thing that some business owners do realize: you are already required to carry it. If you're subcontracting for a general contractor or working on commercial properties or bidding on government jobs, the contract almost always requires excess liability above your primary limits. So it's not even a question of whether you want it. It's a question of whether you can work without it. Let me talk about cost for a second, because this is where it gets hard to argue against. On the personal side, $1 million umbrella policy for most families runs somewhere in the range of $300 to $500 a year. That varies based on how many cars you insure, how many properties, whether you've got young drivers, your claims history. But for most people, it is in that range. I personally pay close to $500 a year for mine. $1 million of additional liability protection for roughly the cost of a nice dinner out once a month. On the business side, it costs more, the exposures are bigger, and the claims tend to be more severe, but the same principle holds. The premium is small compared to the gap it fills. Now, there's a catch, and it's not necessarily a bad one. Your umbrella insurer is going to require that your underlying policies carry certain minimum limits before the umbrella will attach. They might require $250 per person and $500 per accident on your auto liability, for example. If you're currently carrying state minimums, which a lot of people are, you'll need to increase those limits first. The good news is that increasing your underlying limits from, say, $100,000 to $250 usually doesn't add much to your premium. And honestly, you should be carrying those higher limits anyway. State minimum auto coverage is dangerously thin for anyone with assets to protect. So the umbrella requirement actually forces you to fix a gap you already had. One more thing that most people don't know: an umbrella policy can sometimes cover claims that your underlying policies exclude entirely. This is called drop-down coverage. Say you're named in a defamation lawsuit, or you're held liable for something that doesn't fit neatly into your auto or homeowner's coverage. Some umbrella policies will drop down and respond to that claim, subject to a self-insured retention. Basically, a deductible you pay since there's no underlying policy covering it first. This varies by carrier and by policy, so don't assume you have it without checking. But it means an umbrella can do more than just extend limits. It can fill gaps you didn't know you had. So here's how I think about it, wearing all three hats at once. As an insurance agent, I understand exactly how these gaps work and what they cost people when a claim exceeds their limits. As a business owner with a partner, I know that my personal exposure can't be allowed to touch what we've built together. And as a dad and a husband, I know I can't predict what happens on any given Tuesday, not on the road, not at my house, not anywhere. But there's one more thing, and maybe this is just me. I know how quickly a life can change because of an accident. And I would rather carry too much coverage than live with the guilt of permanently harming someone and not having enough to make it right. That's not a business decision. That's a personal one for me. I can't stand the thought of someone's life being changed just because something I did or something that happened on my property, and then not having the coverage to take care of it properly. An umbrella gives me that. That's what an umbrella policy does. It doesn't prevent anything, it doesn't make you safer. It just means that when the numbers get big, they don't get personal. If you want help figuring out whether an umbrella makes sense for your situation, personal or business or both, that's exactly what we do. We work with individuals and businesses in Arizona, California, Nevada, and Utah. There's a link in the description. You can get a quote and we'll help you figure out exactly where you stand.